bringing you some of the best speakers and teachers from across the globe. Their words inspiring you towards your best days. This is the Learn, Develop, Live podcast, Speakers Hub.
Good morning, world. This is the Learn, Develop, Live podcast and the Speaker Hub for today. I'm your host, Director, CEO of the show, Chris Jaggs. How are you? What's new and how's your week going? Now I've got a great booster for your week. Just some motivation from someone just like you. Someone who wants to push themselves further than they are right now. So whatever that dream or the vision of yours, whatever it is right now, keep chasing it down. We have the great Jim Cathcart with us today, who will share with us what your mindset is and why it's important to expand it. Then you can work out what you want to achieve, and funny enough, you'll start to find the right doors that you want to be knocking on. Here's Jim.
How do you attract the success you want? I have a suggestion. Become an eligible receiver. How do you attract the future you want? Well, you think about it, in any situation that's challenging, who do they look for? Who do they turn to? The person that can handle it. The person that can do the job, the person that's qualified, the person that's ready, the person that's got the right attitude, the person that's going to make it better because they're in it. How do you attract the future you want? Become the kind of person who would have the future you want, and all the goals you seek will be your natural byproduct. Let me repeat that. Become the kind of person who would have the future you want, and all the goals you seek will be your natural byproduct. Look at this. I love this. Whatever you want, whether you want, education, whether you want awards, whether you want physical achievements, whether you want big audiences, cool ways to travel, motorcycle tours of North America, speaking in China. I've had the opportunity to do all these things. That's not to say, wow, look at me, am I cool? But to just show you that none of those things, not a single one of those things was in my consciousness when I was growing up. I didn't think I was going to be able to have a significant life. I thought I would be very ordinary. See, my dad was a telephone repairman. Mom was a housewife. My grandfather was an invalid, complete invalid from a stroke. He couldn't move or talk for 7 years before he passed away. My grandmother was there taking care of him in the front room. Dad was on the road as a telephone lineman. My baby sister, Kathy, was there. And I thought I'd grow up to be a nice person with a very unremarkable life. And then things changed somewhere along the way. Let me walk you through what happened, okay? This is just to put it in context. When Matthew McConaughey won the Academy Award a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, he stood up there and he said, when I was a kid, somebody asked me, who's your hero? And I said, it's me 10 years from now. Why? Because that guy's so much better than I am. And so about 15 years later, same person asked me, now who's your hero? And I said, it's me 10 years from now. Still? No, always. Why? Because I'll never be as good as I could be. But if I'm always seeking to be as good as that person I could be 10 years from now, then I know that I'm always on the right track. So think about the kind of person you inside really deeply, sincerely want to be. What kind of person you want to be? Hey, Brian, how you doing? Good to see you. Coming. Yep. 3, 4. Can you advance it up there? Thank you. The future you see, whatever you envision, tells you what kind of person you're going to need to be. You say, well, I'm not. See, our first goal is to decide what our first goal is. Our first job is to determine what we want. We are goal-seeking organisms, right? We are achievement-oriented. We are built to accomplish things. When we visualize what's not in existence, then our mind and the world around us start showing us ways to make it a reality. People talk about goals. Well, I'd set that goal, but I don't know how to get there. What? That's the point. Seriously, that's the point. You set goals before you know how to get to them, so that the way to get to them reveals itself as you explore the path. You don't set goals once. That's a to-do. If you know how to get there, it's a to-do. Just put it on the list and do it. Okay? But if you don't know how to get it, if you don't believe it really could be possible yet, what's the operative word? Yes. Thank you. Okay, if you don't believe it's possible yet, then your next task is to figure out what you really want and get clear on that. Because then everything starts showing up. It's like when you buy a new blue Chevrolet, all of a sudden you see, good Lord, today I saw 37 blue Chevrolets. Wow, where'd they come from? They were always there. So it's kind of like if you're sitting in the stands at a football game and you look at the opposite stands and you see all those thousands of people. Tell yourself, just as you look at the stands, think red. And all of a sudden, boom, and you will see hundreds and hundreds of red jackets and blazers and hats and things like that. Then think blue. And all of a sudden it shifts and you start noticing the blue highlights and then the white and then whatever you want to focus on. Whatever your mind identifies as a desirable target, all of a sudden everything else starts organizing itself in such a way to reveal that to you, and the path between you and it becomes clear. The future you see for yourself tells you what traits you're going to need in order to be qualified as an eligible receiver of that future. Become the person, Ty, that you want to become, and you will get the future you desire to get.
That video can be found on YouTube and is called Keynote Speaker Jim Cathcart, presented by Speaker Inc. Habitude Warrior Conference, and is published by the Speaker Inc. YouTube channel. Now, before we head off into the sunset, if you do get inspired by the Learn, Develop, Live podcast in any kind of way, would you be able to leave a review and rate the podcast? Your words help me put together a map of where you're listening from, and of course, what you like and don't like. This is, after all, your podcast, so let's make it one that you actually want to listen to. Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere that lets you share your thoughts, please leave them. That would be incredible. Now that is all from me today. Have yourself an incredible rest of your day and rest of your week, and I will see you in the next one.
You're listening to the Learn, Develop, Live podcast with Chris Jaggs. Stay tuned for more motivation to get you going.
Thanks for listening. You can find more motivation and inspiration at learndeveloplive.com. And we'll be back to inspire you again tomorrow.